What's up, YouTube? It's Mark here from Next Level Tech and Android TV.tips. All right, so today we are looking at which Fire TV model is right for you. It can be very, very confusing, and I get this question all the time. You know, if we're going to be recommending to getting a streaming device, an Amazon streaming device specifically, I'm not going to talk about the Chromecast or the unboxes or Buzz TV or anything like that. Specifically in this video, it's just solely on the Fire TV devices. What do you recommend for yourself? What do you recommend for your family? Do you recommend for your friends? What do you recommend for your kids, for your parents, maybe your grandparents? So before I go any further, make sure you comment down below, out of all the lineup, which one is your go-to? I'm not asking which one's the best. I'm not asking which one's the cheapest. I'm asking which Amazon Fire TV device is your clutch. If you're not an Amazon Fire TV person, that's cool. That's cool. Tell me what your clutch is then. All right, so we're going to go through it. So we got a bunch. We got the Lite, we got the 4K, we got the 4K Max, and we got the Cube. Now, right off the bat, I want to say that specs can be deceiving, especially when it comes to Amazon devices. Because, man, we thought that we were going to be some serious haters when they came out with the Lite. And what Amazon has been able to do with the specs that are involved in some of these devices, got to take your hat off. They can do exactly what they need to do with these devices. So if we go into comparisons, you can see that, standard pricing at $30 for the Lite, and it goes all the way up to $120 for the Cube. These are US dollars. And that's a big jump. We're talking about, almost $100 jump between devices. So, if you're looking for value, is going the cheapest route the best? And what do you really get by going with the most expensive option? So right off the bat, this is going to be a really, really quick video, maybe even just 2 minutes long. I don't know. But what we're looking at is with the Lite, people are going to say, is it slow? It is a little slower than the 4K. Not really, maybe not even slower. It's a little slower than the Max, and it's slower than the Cube, right? But if you look at the CPU, you're looking at 4-core, 1.7 gigahertz, all the way across, meaning that it's on point with the 4K Fire Stick. So you're not going to notice, for the most part, a big speed difference in regards from the Lite to the 4K stick. Now, there is some optimizations because they are running different operating systems. So is the average person going to notice a big difference between the speed when it comes to the 4K and the Fire TV Lite? No, my honest opinion. And if you do, then you're more of a connoisseur. Let's be real. And if you were more of a connoisseur, then you're probably going to be spending more than $12 on a device. Let's be realistic here, people. Right. So the next thing is your GPU. So your GPU is pretty much the same going all the way between the first three devices, and then it gets bumped up between the 4K Max and the Fire TV Cube. Next, this is where you're going to see the app launch speeds. This is a very good chart. I love the work that Elias does over on AFTV News. I highly recommend people go check out his blog, his website, follow him on all the social media platforms as well. But you can see app launch speeds, it's a little bit quicker as you pay and you go up down the line, right? Obviously, you pay a little bit more, you get a little bit more speed, right? But we're not talking a lot of time here. Boot up speed, I even think these are a little high, but yeah. So it's got 1 gig of RAM. Now, the main difference between jumping from the Fire TV devices like the Lite and the 3rd gen, and then going to the 4K, the Max, and the Cube is the RAM, right? So with these two devices, the Lite and the 3rd generation Fire Stick, these devices are good for people that don't need a lot of applications on their devices. So they can usually get by with, a handful of applications, and they're perfectly fine, right? If you jump up to the 4K or the 4K Max, let's not talk about the Max yet, but the 4K, These are for people that want to use more applications on their device. Maybe they go down the rabbit hole of third-party applications, whatever they do, right? You're going to want that additional RAM because you are going to have additional background processes. And I know the connoisseurs out there are going to say, well, there's ways to limit the background processes, but I'm not going to get into all that in this video. For the standard user that buys these devices and uses it out of the box, if you are going to be using quite a bit of applications, then you're going to want to go with the 4K stick. Now, the other thing is, if you are going to be using a lot of third-party applications, the version of the operating system that is on the 4K stick is different than all the other devices and is more compatible with some of the icons on third-party applications. On the other devices, because they are newer, if we scroll up, you can see the 4K came out in 2018, and the other one's 2020, 2021, and 2019 with the Cube, right? So the other ones can have some compatibility issues when it comes to icons. Now, there are fixes if you dive down that rabbit hole. It's just a little bit more work that you got to put in. Now, if we go into the Max and the Cube, these are the only devices in the Amazon's lineup that comes with 2 gigs of RAM. Now, where you're really going to notice that come into play is if you are a smart home connoisseur. If you are a smart home connoisseur, then this is going to work well with your smart home. You're going to get picture in picture and that kind of stuff. So if you are, then you're going to go with one of these 2 devices. And then what's going to kind of take you over the top to get the Cube versus the Max is really, in my honest opinion, if you just want that hands-free smart assistant. So if you want to be able to communicate verbally with your device, because it does have a built-in speaker as well, and kind of use it almost like an Echo Show or something like that, then you can communicate with it without having to press the smart assistant button on the remote. Okay? That's my honest opinion. Yes, the Cube is faster marginally than the Max and marginally than the other devices, but that's in a nutshell how I break it down to people. So if you're just looking for a simple device, maybe for your kids or for your parents, they're not going to install a lot of applications, then honestly, for the most part, a lot of people can't even tell for the most part. Now, there are some people that are quality junkies that the Lite and the 3rd generation stick are 1080p. It's some of the cleanest 1080p that I've seen, and it's a really good solid device, right? So if you're looking for budget and value out of the Fire TV lineup, you can't go wrong with those 2 devices. Now, if you are going to be using a little bit more applications, if you want the compatibility with some of the third-party stuff without having to dive too deep down the rabbit hole and try to fix icons and that kind of stuff, and it's just got the, that record of, solid performance, that 4K stick, you still can't go wrong, right? If you want to get into that smart home stuff and you do have Wi-Fi 6 routers, then go with that Max. If you are using, smart home and you do like the idea of that hands-free smart assistant, then get the Cube. It's a fantastic device, right? Only you can justify the price, right? The price of these devices if they're not on sale. If they are on sale, like the Fire TV Cube was on sale for Prime Day, amazing price. That is an amazing price for that device, and people should have bought it up all day long, right? So that's kind of how I explain this stuff here. Internal storage is pretty much right across the board at 8. Now that kind of gives you around 4.5 after the operating system and out of the box. And then when it comes to the Cube, you get 16 gigs. And I think that's somewhere along the lines of like 12 or 13 gigs out of the box. For the most part, if you're not saving actual files and you're just installing applications, you're generally pretty good. Unless you're using some of the Fire TV stick devices and you're installing a lot of applications, right? Some of the tips, I'll come out with a video probably sometime in the next couple of weeks talking about some of the settings that I go through when I'm optimizing these devices, some of the settings that I turn off so that I make sure that it's not building up a lot of cache. and some of the new features in how to clear cache appropriately and efficiently on some of these devices as well, right? Again, the oldest device of this lineup is the 4K stick, and because of that, it's running an older version of the operating system, and it's got unofficial support for USB OTG. So if you're connecting USB cables in regards to dongles or Ethernet adapters or USB drives or hard drives or whatever, you can do it. It just takes a little bit more hoops to jump through. And I'm not going to get into that because that would make the video super long, but it is a lot easier to do it on the newer devices because they're running the newer operating system. So if that's something that you like to do, then you wouldn't go with the 4K stick because it is a lot easier on the other devices, right? So if you want to connect things like Ethernet adapters, or if you want to connect USB jump drives or whatever, now just keep in mind, right? If you are connecting an Ethernet adapter to these devices, you are limited to 100 megabytes a second, right? But remember, you don't need crazy fast speeds to stream. These are streaming devices. You can even get away with 20 megabytes a second, right? If you're hardwiring it, the most important thing when it comes to your network connection and a streaming device is your latency. So if you're doing your speed test, you want to make sure that your jitter and your ping is as low as possible, right? You want to make sure that you're doing speed tests not only when your devices and your internet is acting up, but also when it's solid, so you know the numbers and the statistics that your network runs at when it's optimal and when it's not. Okay. I can do another video later on about, doing speed tests and what to look at and all that kind of stuff down the road as well. But for the most part, that's what I look at, right? The differences in the remote. So if you go with the Lite, it's coming with the 2nd gen remote here. And what you're missing is the buttons that are related to CEC, or buttons that control the television, right? So you're missing your power button and you're missing your volume up and down. Now, the other ones come with those CEC capabilities, which will include your volume and your power buttons there. So that's the main difference between the remotes. So if you like to have one remote to control everything, to control your TV and your sound bar and all that kind of stuff, and your receivers, then you're going to want to go with the 3rd gen Fire Stick and up. If you don't care about that kind of stuff, then you can go with the Lite. And just another tip, a lot of times this Lite device goes on sale, and the remote on Amazon can sometimes be more expensive than just buying a whole Fire TV Stick Lite. So sometimes it's good to pick up a Lite in case you need a spare remote. And the easiest way to pair the remote with a new device is just holding down that home button for about 10 to 15 seconds. You'll see this little light flash, and then it'll start to connect to your new Fire TV. So if you ever need to switch around your remotes, that's how you do it. You can also go into your settings, your equipment control, and then go into add device, click on remotes, and set it to manually search, and then connect it that way as well. So for the most part, that's how I walk people through the Amazon devices. Again, this is all personal opinion, right? What device works for you is personal opinion. What you find valuable in a device, somebody else might find something else more valuable. So it's up to you to kind of figure out which route you want to go down when you come to these devices. Only you know your budget, only you know what you like in a streaming device. At the end of the day, I say this all the time, but streaming devices are some of the only devices that you can buy. And if you don't like it, you can either return or sell for more money than you paid for it, because these go on sale all the time, guys. Statistically, Amazon devices go on sale a lot more than they're at regular price. So don't be scared about buying a device, especially an Amazon device, because Amazon Prime, you can return that shit, no questions asked. But let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if you have any other feedback in regards to the devices. But that is how I look at the Amazon lineup. Now, just another little tidbit, but I think it could be a possibility that we see a Cube this year. Last time we got a Cube was 2019. We're looking at going into 2023 next year. It's been a while. And I actually think, this is just an assumption, that we could see a Fire TV Cube Lite. Give me all the hate mail in the comment sections down below. Tell me how much you hate that idea. And it's been Mark from Next Level Tech. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Hey everybody, just before we get going, I wanted to say a huge thank you, much love and appreciation to everyone who supports what I do over here on Next Level Tech. Make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button and share these videos with a family member and friend.